Hello and welcome. I'm Chesley McNeil, and this is The Take, where we go above and beyond the headlines and we look at the why and how stories are impacting you in your community. We invite the experts in to share their take on today's top stories, and we try to have just a little bit of fun as well. Not going to be fun by tomorrow, okay? So we want you to know about 11Alive weather impact alert that we have that we're looking at. We got some rain coming in later on tonight. That rain will be heavy at times, and it's going to last until tomorrow. So tomorrow morning's commute will be a rough go at it, whether you're standing outside waiting for the bus stop or you are driving in this, okay? So if you're standing outside waiting at the bus stops, of course, it's going to be a cold rain. Who wants to stand in that, right? And then driving in it will create some slowdowns, no doubt. So it's going to be heavy at times on us during the morning hours. Then by the afternoon, it starts to get out of the way, which is the good news for us. But it will cause some travel impacts on us. So that's something that we'll be watching out for. Today, it's just the clouds in place. So we're not so much worried about the rain today. It won't come in until late this afternoon, going into the evening. That's where we'll see some of that rain begin to impact our area. And so we'll be watching for that. Fog in the area for us so far this morning. That fog not having major impacts, but it is very isolated in places like Gwinnett County, for example. Temperature starting off on the cool side. We were down into the 30s, and now we're starting to see 40s bounce back, 50s for highs today. We'll be watching for, again, the temperature right around 50, 51 degrees. Notice that rain back off to the west of us. Now an area of low pressure will start to slide east, and that is what's going to spread the rain our way. Again, arriving tonight, but it will be heavy at times through tomorrow morning. So we'll be watching that as we head through the day today. 11Alive weather impact alert for tomorrow morning. As Cyber Monday hits today, retailers are gearing up for what could be the biggest online shopping day in history, powered by AI cultured deals, dynamic pricing, and record demand for electronics. And with shoppers here in Georgia especially price sensitive, the deepest discounts may go fast. Let's break all this down for you and what you need to know. Analysts project Cyber Monday sales that could top $13 to $14 billion, potentially breaking last year's record as more shoppers go online for those big deals. Buy now, pay later, use jump 24%, that was used to jump 42% last Cyber Monday, and researchers say this year could see another surge as families search for those holiday budgets. They have the holiday budgets, they're out looking for those deals. Electronics are expected to see 25 to 35% markdowns, with toys, home smart devices, and small appliances close behind that. Let's find out a little bit more about this and what it means for consumers as they begin to shop, like myself, looking for brands that are adapting, with Jill McCrae. She is the co-founder of Inactive Company. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Chesley. Yeah, like you said, we're seeing a lot of major shifts in the holiday shopping. People started researching and really planning out their budgets as early as July this year, and retailers really stepped up to meet those needs.
Are shoppers, are you finding that shoppers are more hesitant or more decisive right now, given the inflation and comparison tools?
So they are smarter, and like I mentioned, since they started earlier and were very budget conscious, they actually started parsing out their purchases. So retailers met that demand, and they've also been offering options and promotions along the way. And because people have had the tools to research more and really look at what they wanted to buy, this Monday is going to be a blowout.
I think so. I mean, I was trying to look at some in between doing the forecast here and there. Do shoppers even notice the dynamic pricing, or does hunts for deals override transparency concerns?
So while some absolutely love the kill of the deal and the hunt, there are now tools that make it so much easier. There are plugins for your computer and mobile devices that will actually predict price drops for you and will actually follow items that you've been looking at or targeting online and let you know when those prices are on sale.
You know, Jill, one of the things we've been hearing about is people using AI to do shopping, right? Mm-hmm. How big of a role will AI personalization play in buying decisions?
Huge on both sides. First of all, AI is helping to serve up customized ads and promotions to you based on what you are actually looking for and interested in. Secondly, there are tremendous try before you buy virtual AI tools. In the beauty industry, you can try on a lipstick shade. You can actually look at what a couch is going to look like in your living room with an AI tool. And then thirdly, there are really great consumer tools, like I mentioned earlier, that will let you know and track those items for you if they're going to go on sale and where the best deal is.
Yeah. As we mentioned earlier, buy now, play later seems to be creeping up. Mm-hmm. From your research, how should families decide whether or not to do that, or if that's just a risky option?
Listen, it's whatever works for your budget. There are implications of paying later, such as higher interest rates, but there are a few retailers right now who are breaking up payments into 2 or 3 options for you with no interest. You really have to look into that and research what's best for you.
All right, give us the truth, Jill, here. And give us your best advice on overspending. Like when people see these deals, it says limited time, are we really saving that much that we have to buy right now?
So for sure, Black Friday and Cyber Monday definitely creates that urgency and demand. And there are some items like higher ticket items that won't be on sale later in the season. If it fits into your budget and if it's with your need, one of the shifts that we've seen also is to essentials, electronics, and also health and wellness. If you can grab those now, I absolutely would recommend you do that.
Wow. I mean, a lot of people probably will be online doing that. Talk to me a little bit more about this AI piece and how it's best used and how it best serves the people, because it's still new to a lot of us.
So AI, sometimes you might not even know that you're using it based on what the retailers are serving you. I mean, if you're on your mobile device a lot or you're online shopping, which more than 50% of the population is right now, you're likely being served up by AI and it's serving you without even you having to do anything. If you're an active shopper, there are plugins like I mentioned before, like Rakuten and Honey, that will actively go out and search for those discounts for you so that you can make sure that you're getting the best price.
Is it listening to us? Because sometimes I feel like I'm talking, right? and I may say Nike, for example, and then shoes start popping up.
So it feels that way often. And while I'm definitely not the expert on Meta or their algorithm, I would say that there are tools that retailers use called retargeting. So if you go to a website or you look at an ad, the algorithms on social media as well as display ads will definitely continue to serve up that content to you, whether it's an ad or a commentary or somebody shouting you out.
All right, Jill, I'm gonna let you go on this one, right? Bottom line, as shoppers get into Cyber Monday, what's the single most smartest move they can make without getting caught up in all the noise?
I'd say make a list. I'm very big on lists. I'm also very big on being prepared. If you've got all your fundamentals covered and you've got your list covered, then you can leave yourself a little room for those extras that pop up in front of you.
There you go. Jill McRae, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate your insight this morning.
Thanks for having me.
All right, take care. Have a great day and a great holiday.
Happy holiday.
All right. You're watching The Take, folks. Don't go anywhere. We got much more for you coming up right after the break. We'll see you there. All right, both the U.S. Senate and both the U.S. House and Senate have started inquiries into a reported second U.S. strike on an alleged drug smuggling boat in the Caribbean that killed the survivors of an initial strike. Now, this is all raising questions about whether the U.S. actions broke the laws of war. Joining us now is Washington correspondent, NBC correspondent, Alice Barr. Alice, lay out what's behind this reporting and how soon hearings could come on Capitol Hill.
Yeah, we don't have an announced date yet on when those hearings will actually begin, but it's notable that Republican leaders of both the House and Senate Armed Services Committees are now the ones saying that this needs to happen. There needs to be oversight. This is a bipartisan push. And to back up a little bit, what we're seeing here is over the past several months, since September really, there have been these series of boat strikes off of Venezuela targeting drug smugglers. According to the Trump administration, we know more than 80 people have been killed. We have not seen evidence in each instance that there were, in fact, drugs and drug smugglers on board. But the Trump administration has said that this has been necessary in order to fight drug cartels. And in this specific instance, there is reporting of this second strike. President Trump is backing Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth amid this reporting that the Pentagon carried out a second strike on a boat to kill survivors of the first hit. The president said, quote, "Pete said that didn't happen. I have great confidence in him." A U.S. official and a source familiar with the actions tell NBC News it did happen on September 2nd, and the Washington Post, citing two sources, was first to report the second strike came because Secretary Hegseth had ordered all on board killed. President Trump said the administration would look into it and that he would not have wanted to see a second strike, but again, he is standing behind Pete Hegseth, the defense secretary.
We noticed that the Trump administration has been ramping up its military presence in the Caribbean, and has the president's rhetoric also increased? What else is he saying here?
Yeah, no doubt. President Trump has been focusing quite a bit on Venezuela, but there have been strikes in the Caribbean and on both in the Pacific as well, in fact, but all centered on this concept of knocking down the drug trade. And President Trump speaks about how many Americans are killed by drugs, and that this, he believes, is one of the most important ways to cut down drugs coming into the U.S. He has accused Venezuela's leader, Nicolas Maduro, of having ties to the drug cartels and being involved with bringing drugs into the United States. And so that has led him to really ramp up pressure on Maduro. And there has been a buildup as well of U.S. troops and military presence in the Caribbean, all related to this. And then over the weekend, President Trump said that the airspace of and around Venezuela should be considered closed to all airlines. The president was asked about whether that meant that an airstrike was imminent, and he said not to read anything into it, but certainly it's raised a lot of concern and question in Venezuela among people wondering what that might imply.
Yeah, has Venezuela replied to this at all? Have they responded?
Yeah, so we have heard from Maduro, who said that he's repeatedly said that he does not have any ties to drug traffickers, and has argued that the American military presence in the region is meant to start a war and force him from power. The Trump administration has said that they are not seeking regime change, while at the same time, again, keeping up this focus. And worth reinforcing that the folks who are being very sharply critical of this particular alleged double strike, they are saying that this was a war crime, that it amounts to it. They're also, in fact, questioning whether this can even be considered a war, kind of the rationale here that the Trump administration is laying out, that they have to take these actions because they say these are narco-terrorists, and that gives them more latitude to act.
All right.
Chesley.
Alice, thanks so much for joining us. Thanks so much for the insight. All right, folks, don't go anywhere. We're back with more right after this. Welcome back to the show. Recently, shockwaves rattled Washington with Marjorie Taylor Greene's announcement that she'll resign from Congress, citing a political climate where division now rules over duty. Greene described the environment in Washington as increasingly toxic, calling out a broken system she can, quote, no longer serve everyday Americans.
When common American people realize and understand that the political industrial complex of both parties is ripping this country apart, that not one elected leader like me is able to stop Washington's machine from gradually destroying our country, and instead the reality is that they, common Americans, the people, possess the real power over Washington, then I'll be here by their side to rebuild it.
Yeah, this at a time when politics feel more polarizing than ever. One national group is trying to pull Americans back from the extremes by getting people to talk, listen, and find some common ground. Let's welcome in Murray Giles, CEO of Braver Angels, to discuss what Greene's exit says about the widening political divide that's going on, and whether efforts at bridging the gap, if you will, can offer a path forward. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here, and couldn't agree more that announcement not only sent shockwaves, but it also modeled something that we think is pretty important, that Americans need to pay attention. And it's what we expect in terms of the way we live and the way we behave, but in the people that we send to represent us. So there's a lot going on there, and certainly couldn't agree more that the framework around division has accelerated to a point that we at Braver Angels feel pretty passionate about the need to touch people one-on-one, community by community, to make a difference on this.
Yeah, you talk about courageous citizenship. What does that look like in a moment when many feel like politics is far beyond repair here?
Absolutely. When we talk courageous citizenship, what we mean is intentionally engaging in human connection across division. It's the idea that I actually do have my part in this whole process, that yes, I can feel like I have no control because everything I see in my elected officials and in Congress not getting things done. But it has to start with us first, acknowledging our part in the system. Washington called it citizen being the most important role in a democratic republic, in a constitutional republic. That's our part of it. It's choosing to recognize that I can act instead of react, and then I can act together locally. And in doing that, I start to realize that I can work with the people that I choose to, and then put different people into office and be able to support those that are engaging in a way that's about problem solving rather than about tribal warfare.
Maury, what would you say is the most damaging misconception that Republicans and Democrats tend to have about one another right now?
Well, first off, we used to just say that you're right and I'm wrong. Now we say you're evil. It's no longer about me being right and being wrong. It's you're evil. And those labels in the industrial outrage complex, or what we often talk about as conflict entrepreneurs, they put those labels there because they make us feel like the other person must be choosing something that's threatening my existence because they're evil. That's just not true. Republicans and Democrats, Americans are not evil. Sure, there's going to be the very small minority that have malicious intent, but the vast majority don't. Those labels aren't right.
Yeah. Do you think the political polarization has reached the new peak, or are we just stuck in this long plateau?
I think polarization's been around forever, but the toxicity of it is what's reached a powerful level. But I actually believe a lot of the data we're seeing right now of people saying America's best days are in our past or we can't solve problems, I actually see that in a positive spin of saying maybe we're at the point where enough of us are recognizing that this isn't healthy, it's not sustainable. So if any country in the world can change that trajectory, it's this one, because ultimately we're the ones that have that power.
And how do you get people who, and I got 45 seconds here left, how do you get people who don't want to talk to each other show up in the same room together?
First, you got to have courage. That's why we say courageous citizenship. And the second thing is, when you start feeling the anxiety and frustration of what someone else is saying, stop and ask this question. Tell me more about your life experience that shapes the way you view this issue. When you do that, you'll see them as a person, they'll see your interest in them, and you'll discover you have a lot more in common than you have difference. Then you can build on those shared values.
All right, Murray Giles, thanks so much for joining us. Thanks so much for your insight. Appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you.
All right, take care now. All right, folks, don't go anywhere. We got much more for you coming up right after the break. This is The Take. We're back right after this. Welcome back to the show. A major shift at the CDC is raising new questions for parents. A controversial update to its autism and vaccines page is revealing a claim that doctors say has been disproven for decades. Let's start with the data and what it actually shows, beginning with three key facts here. More than 40 large-scale studies involving over 5.6 million people across 7 countries have found no connection between any vaccine and autism. These include from the American Academy and Pediatrics and Autism Science Foundation. But then in a 1989 paper, the Whitfield study sparked the vaccine autism myth. It was quickly retracted for fabricated data, and its author lost his medical license. The CDC says more than 250 genes are associated with autism, and in up to 20% of cases, a single gene explains the diagnosis. Let's dive a little bit deeper into this with Dr. Dimitri Damascus. I think I said that right, from the CDC. He's the former director of CDC's National Center of Immunization and Respiratory Cases. Welcome to the show, Doc.
Good morning.
All right, let's get started with the basics here. What does the global scientific record actually show about vaccines and autism?
Yeah, no, I think you covered it in your sentence before, that really, there's been millions of kids who have been in so many studies, 7 countries, all of which really don't show that there is an association between vaccines and autism. So, I think that most people, most scientists who do this work and who also do vaccine work and who do autism work don't see a link.
So why do experts describe this as a settled science?
Yeah, I mean, so it's good to say that no science is ever completely settled. It's always a process. There can be new data, something new can happen, but in this instance, there's nothing new. So the website was changed, really rehashing prior, really frankly, anti-vaccine sort of notions, and cherry-picked some data to put it together in a way to sort of create doubt. So the website doesn't go so far as to say that vaccines cause autism. It just says something confusing, which is that it is not scientifically accurate to say that vaccines don't cause autism. So that's not really how science works. So nothing is ever settled, but there's also nothing new to prompt a change on the website.
So how unusual is it for your former agency to make a change like this or a reverse in a major guidance without any input from scientists?
Yeah, I love to start with this is not normal, right? This is not the way science works. This is not the way a health agency works. So, this is propaganda that is, really a wolf in sheep's clothing. So there is a mission to create, an association between vaccines and autism. And by putting a seal of approval that says CDC on it, all of a sudden it becomes a source document. Why would you want to do this? I think that there's conflicts of interest. There are people that are working on these websites, such as Secretary Kennedy, who has colleagues and family who will likely try to make money off of litigation around vaccines by claiming that there's some association when there isn't none. So it's very atypical, not normal.
Is that the only risk that this poses to public trust in the CDC and vaccination efforts?
Oh, no. No, I think that we're well, first of all, from the perspective of CDC and vaccines, unfortunately, I don't think that you can trust the website anymore for good information around vaccines. They've proven, not that the scientists are doing this, but they've proven that, it's that plane's been hijacked. Those scientists are being kept hostage and other people are creating documents. And, what's happening is now there's a source document that can be cited that says CDC says that it is not impossible that vaccines may cause autism. And so that is going to be, I think, a path to a pretty dark place in terms of what people will believe from the CDC, as well as their confidence in vaccines and, frankly, all of medicine. I think it's shook the system.
Wow. Are there specific communities or populations where misinformation spreads faster than others and has greater consequences?
I mean, absolutely. I think that, when you look at vaccine preventable diseases, close-knit communities tend to be the ones that have the larger outbreaks, such as, the Haredi community in Brooklyn when I was there doing measles, or the Mennonite community in Texas. So I think that, people who are on the border, this may put them to the edge of saying that I don't want a vaccine. And that's going to mean more infections, more doctor's visits, more hospitalizations, and unfortunately more deaths in kids.
Yeah, I got about 15 seconds left with you, Doc, here. What's the message you want parents to take away today about vaccines and autism?
Yeah, talk to your pediatrician. Don't believe politicians about vaccines. Talk to your doctor because they're the ones that will give you the best advice. All
right, Dr. Daskalauskas, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate your insight. All right.
Great, thank you.
All right, take care. Today may be Cyber Monday, but for nonprofits, they could use your help on Giving Tuesday. That's tomorrow. We're going to talk about that right after the break. Welcome back to the show. Tomorrow we'll move from Cyber Monday to Giving Tuesday. This is a global push for generosity that comes right as the Georgia nonprofits are seeing some of their highest demand in years. Let's address that with Karen Beaver. She's the president and CEO for Georgia Center for Nonprofits. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Karen, what makes this day, Giving Tuesday, so influential as far as nonprofits go, especially right here in Georgia?
I think two things. The first is, it is Georgia's largest day of generosity, of giving. I always like to joke around and say it's a flash mob of giving. So everybody together, community's a team sport. So we just want everybody to give on Georgia Gives Day. The other thing, the second point, is that 30% of nonprofits revenue comes in the last 2 months of the year, December being one of them. So this is really an important day for nonprofits to be able to pay for all of the things that they do for community.
How would you describe the overall state of the nonprofit sector right here in Georgia as we head into Giving Tuesday?
Well, I would say that coming into 2025, exiting COVID and a lot of the supports, nonprofits have been shown to be a little bit more fragile. And the current environment with the numerous kinds of shutdowns that we've had since May have kind of exacerbated that. And then demand is rising. As we all know, we are hearing the news of layoffs, of inflation, families having a harder time purchasing just the things that they need to live, pay the rent, et cetera. And so that demand typically flows into nonprofits. And so we experience inflation, we experience the increased demand, and there's a bit more fragility coming into the year with nonprofits. So the need is great.
So you mentioned that 2 months, really, this being the biggest. Is that sustainable long term? I guess it's been lasting for a while, but is that sustainable?
Well, it is just the way that revenue flows, and I think that's no different than normal businesses out there. The businesses have their high times and their low times. the Friday giving, the Cyber Monday is a way that businesses sort of also drive revenue at the end of the year. In terms of sustainability, that is really relative to the tax system, right? So people are trying to kind of get tax advantage by, giving gifts at the end of the year, stacking gifts, writing off things. And so it's very typical for our sector.
For families watching at home right now, how can they ensure that their donation can go to a trustworthy, high-impact organization?
Well, one thing you can do is go to gagives.org, which is Georgia Gives Day. It is the Giving Tuesday site for the state of Georgia. And all of the organizations that are listed there are 501c3 charities. They are listed with the IRS and have those credentials. And so you can be assured when you go to gagives.org that you will see organizations that are registered with the IRS. You can also do things like put in a keyword, maybe like your zip code, and give locally to the organizations that affect your particular zip code community. Or you could put in a keyword like dog, and it would bring up not only the Humane Society, but also really interesting groups like Guide Dogs for the Blind, for example, or charities that are just right within your area of interest, whether it's environment or arts or whatever.
Gotcha, Karen. I got less than 30 seconds left here. If you could snap your fingers, right, and change one thing about how we support nonprofits in Georgia, what would it be?
I think to really be aware that you live your life in nonprofits, whether you give dollars or whether you do not, whether you volunteer or don't, they are surrounding you. You may have adopted your dog, sent your kid to a nonprofit daycare, walk in a park that is maintained by a nonprofit. We all live our lives in nonprofits, and community is a team sport. So I would say step up, give a little, volunteer. You can do that by going to gagives.org, finding a cause you care about, and giving a little or a lot on tomorrow. Georgia Gives on Giving Tuesday.
There you go, Karen Beaver. Thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate your insight and all the information you've given us today.
Thank you so much.
No problem at all. All right, take a look outside right now. This is our camera on our Northside Hospital, Georgia 400 and I-285. Looks pretty good as far as the fog. This was a foggy shot earlier this morning, and now the fog is gone, but the clouds continue to hang on, folks. It will be a cloudy day, but we're not anticipating that rain coming to us until later on tonight. In fact, that rain will be with us through the overnight going into Tuesday morning. Tuesday for us is an 11Alive weather impact alert day, where we'll have that rain around for our morning commute. Okay, so it's going to be for the first half of the day. By Tuesday afternoon, we should begin to clear it out. And so we'll also be cool out there. Make sure you grab a light coat or a heavy jacket before you walk out the house. We'll be right back right after this. Stay with us. All right, we are looking at rain coming our way, folks. We got the clouds in place right now, but those clouds not yielding any rainfall. It won't be until later on this afternoon and tonight that we'll start to see the rain chance increase. 80% chance by Tuesday, and that'll be mainly during the morning commute. We'll be looking at some very heavy rain. That's going to cause, or that's what's causing our 11Alive weather impact alert that we keep pushing along to you, folks, because we want you to be aware. It will be a cold rain for those that have to stand outside and wait for a bus. For those that have to drive in it, of course, that means those slowdowns, because that heavy rain will be coming down during our impact, our greatest drive time, let's put it that way, for the morning hours. Should clear out by the afternoon. Looking at Wednesday and Thursday drive, and then Friday another system will come in and bring some more rain to the forecast area. Now, don't get me wrong, we need the rain because it's dry in our forecast area. We have drought conditions around our area, so we need that rainfall, but it will cause some impacts. It will be a nuisance for us, all right? Two big sectors are making headlines, one in the air and one on the pharmaceutical aisle. CNN's Maribel Aber joins us now from the NASDAQ market site in New York. Good morning to you, Maribel.
Good morning, Chesley.
Looks like both of these are catching the eye of Wall Street right now.
You know what? Investors head into the year's final trading month with eyes on the aviation space. Chesley, shares of Airbus fell sharply this morning following reports of a quality issue regarding some A320 aircraft. The flaws related to fuselage panels. It's delaying some deliveries, according to a Reuters report. There's no indication that planes already in service are affected, and Airbus hasn't yet publicly commented. Also, big pharma news just in. Eli Lilly is cutting the cost of its weight loss drug Zepbound. Starter dose vials on and Lily Direct are now $2.99, okay, a month, $299. It's down from $3.49 with higher doses also discounted. It aims to counter a recent move by rival Novo Nordisk, which lowered the price on its obesity med Wegovy. Let's see how all this is moving the market right now. And I'll tell you right now, a lot of red. Here at NASDAQ, we're down about 198. The Dow down 196 and the S&P down 39. Chesley.
Wow. All right. Thousands of jobs are on the chopping block at tech giant HP as AI takes the wheel. Break that down for us.
Okay, well, HP plans to cut up to 6,000 jobs globally by 2028. It says the reduction is designed to streamline operations as it weaves in more AI. The company says workers in product development, internal operations, and customer support will be the most impacted. HP has a large presence in the metro area with offices in Atlanta and Alpharetta. This includes a data center and training facility. It's not clear if or how many jobs cuts could happen there. This latest round follows about 2,000 layoffs earlier this year, Chesley.
All right. Plenty of deals to be had on Black Friday last week. How much of a dent did that make in America's wallets?
$14 billion, according to Adobe Analytics, will be spent actually today on Cyber Monday, but Black Friday spending climbed this year, rising just over 4% compared to last year, according to MasterCard. So Adobe Analytics reports online shoppers spent nearly $12 billion, with spending up more than 9%. The Fed's latest data shows high-end earners driving luxury and travel purchases, while low and middle income spending continues to soften. One consumer expert tells CNN that the boost in sales revenue likely reflects higher prices on fewer items purchased. The National Retail Federation projects that a record $1 trillion will be spent overall this holiday season, Chesley.
Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot. All right, we love Chick-fil-A here in Metro Atlanta, but some store locations are going to be serving up the taste of Southern comfort with chicken and waffles.
The lucky ones. Chick-fil-A is launching its new chicken and waffle sandwiches in 2 test markets starting today. Select locations in Baltimore and San Antonio will offer breakfast and lunch versions of the sandwich through January 24th. So it features a crispy chicken patty with smoked bacon between 2 maple waffles. It's going to be available in both original and spicy. The breakfast sandwich is slightly smaller than the lunch option, only available until 10:30 a.m. If it does well in the test markets, the chicken and waffle sandwich could make its way to Atlanta area restaurants in the future. Chesley, first time I had chicken and waffles was in the ATL, and it was red velvet waffles. I don't know if I can do maple now.
I don't know. It looks good. I mean, the picture looks good, so we'll see. And we love Chick-fil-A around here, so they need to bring it here. They need to test. Well, that's probably why they didn't test it here, because it would do well, period. Here, at least. Thanks a lot, Maribel. Really appreciate it.
You got it.
Take care. All right, folks, don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more good stuff right after this. You're watching The Take. All right, Metro Atlanta is officially in the holiday spirit, and one of the region's biggest festive traditions is back and starting this year in a new location. Let's bring in Marco Folsky with the German American Culture Foundation to talk about Christkindl celebration now in Lawrenceville. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yes, for the first time in Lawrenceville, so thank you for introducing me.
Why the move, first of all?
Well, we wanted to be bigger and better. And quite frankly, we achieved this with the city of Lawrenceville. We'd be thankful for the Bucket Village District to have it there for the past 4 years, but we really wanted to expand. And the American Culture Foundation, who supports initiatives in the metropolitan Atlanta, quite frankly, we needed to grow in order to really enlarge our footprint. And that's why we moved, and the city of Lawrenceville gave us that opportunity.
Got it. So people who have never been to the celebration before in Metro Atlanta, what makes this one different than other holiday markets?
Well, we would call it the 5th season of Atlanta. So we really take on the next level of really exciting with the Christmas market. So by celebrating for the next 4 weeks, from Wednesdays till Sundays, every week all the way to Christmas Eve, we inviting free admission, free parking, everyone from the metropolitan, come on up northeast. It's only 35 minutes a drive of Metro Atlanta. And it's really cool because you can see and feel the spirit, authenticity of a German market.
Is that what has made this event grow so dramatically through the years? What's causing this surge in popularity?
I mean, it's kind of this cultural identity, and it's really started off with our founding fathers with 2 small markets at Atlantic Station, and where we initially started with 12, eventually 25 booths. We moved a year to Centennial Park, and then for the past 4 years in Bucket. So we've been expanding, and now we at this point having 90 booths, wooden structures. They are authentic from Germany. And then we have about 65 different vendors. It's about food, German foods. We do have some empanadas and tacos, but certainly our chimney cakes, the brats, the crepes, the pancakes, the usual sweets, cinnamon nuts. And then, of course, our Glühwein, which is the mulled wine. And the important part is that the mug, it's every year a collectible item. And the proceeds of the mug and the drinks go to the German American Culture Foundation, who then basically present that to the Goethe-Zentrum and other initiatives and language skills subjects from the German aspect.
Marco, I have about a minute left here, and so I want you to tell me what's the significance of Christkindl tradition itself, and why is it important to share that here?
I think it's really important. So the city of Atlanta's partner city in Germany is Nuremberg, and that's where the home of Christkindl is. And Christkindl is basically the translation of Child of Christ. It's a girl in a golden cloth, and basically for 900 years they had a Christmas market in Nuremberg, and that's why we transitioned that and basically as a partner city call it the same way here, Christkindl Market. And basically, it's a tradition of a German Christmas market, and for us was really important as partners for the GACF as well as our events team that we really keep the tradition alive. And we can see it make total sense because now by bigger and better with the Lawrenceville lawn and the opportunity to really grow. And this year we have a Ferris wheel. We have the typical Käthe Wohlfahrt ornament tents, and then of course pictures with Santa. So we have all of the important stuff that makes a Christmas market really special and supportive.
Got it. Marco Folsky, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. And we'll hope to see you out there.
Thank you. Come on by. Free admission.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
All right. If that doesn't get you in this Christmas spirit, what will, folks? Don't go anywhere. We got much more for you coming up after the break. This is The Take. All right, welcome back to the show, folks. Let's get to our forecast for today because we got some big-time changes in our coming way, and that's going to cause some problems for us. So we have an 11Alive weather impact alert. We're talking about it all show long, and we want to pass it along to you again, folks, because of those changes. Now, you notice the clouds in place right now. There's no precipitation coming out of those clouds at all. We're not worried about that. What we are concerned about is the rain that's going to be coming in because that rain is now forecast to be around for tonight into tomorrow morning, which will impact your commute. Now, this morning we also are looking at some of that fog. Typically around this time is when it starts to lift because the sun begins to rise and burn it off. The problem with that is that we don't have a lot of sunlight out there because of the cloud cover, as you just saw. But you can see in the city right now down to a half-mile visibility in some spots. So you may be driving into some fog as you make your way a little bit closer to the city. Started out in the east and now has begun to shift a little bit further over toward the west. We started out with 0 visibility in some spots over toward Athens. You're looking better right now with 10 miles visibility, and that's excellent visibility. Temperatures are on the chilly side. We're down into the 30s in a lot of spots. Some 40s now starting to creep back in here, like Atlanta right now at 40 degrees. We'll get up to about 50 degrees for an afternoon high in a lot of spots, except for Clayton and over toward Gainesville, where you'll see those temperatures only in the 40s. So a light coat, heavy jacket for today. That'll help you out a little bit. There's a better look at the clouds. You can see that stretches throughout the southeast all the way back toward Texas, where an area of low pressure is starting to form here, and you can see where that rain is starting to gather a little bit. That is what's coming in our direction. Now, out ahead of that, over toward Jackson, Mississippi, for example, really haven't seen very many reports of that reaching the ground. Light precipitation at best, so some of that may come by early afternoon, but it's more or less what you see over toward Houston that's going to come in here and bring the heavier rain. Not anticipating seeing any severe severe weather at all, barely even a thunderstorm because of that easterly flow that we have setting up a nice little wedge over us. Air's a little cool. And so I don't suspect we'll get some thunderstorms from this at all. A little bit more stable atmosphere over us as long as that easterly flow at least continues. Now, as far as the amounts of rain, good news here, about an inch in North Georgia, including metro Atlanta. A little further down to the south, some of our southern counties could see a little bit more in the way of 2 inches of rain. Now, if that area of low pressure starts to slide a little further to the north, then maybe we'll be dragging that up. But again, 1 to 2 inches would be very beneficial to us, especially with the drought conditions that we have over our forecast area right now. But the timing of it places it as a nuisance for us, especially trying to get around, trying to get to work and trying to get to school tomorrow morning will be more of a nuisance. So you're looking at an 80% chance, which covers a lot of ground, right? It's going to be very widespread, and it will be heavy at times over our forecast area. So that's no doubt going to lead to some ponding on the roadways out there. Trying to walk around in that is going to become a pain, and it will be a cold rain as temperatures will be down into the 40s. So there's that, right? The second half of the day on Tuesday will begin to clear out, and I think we get some sunshine in here before it sets. Another dry day for Wednesday, Thursday, and then another system will come our way as we head into Friday. Another day where we have our canathon, for example, and you're trying to get your cans to the various locations. Well, come on anyway, rain or shine, we're going to be there. Here it is, our forecast track model. You can see the clouds remain in place throughout the day, and then after about 5 or 6 o'clock is when we're expecting that rain to begin to move into the state. Our western counties will see it first, especially up here to the northwest, and then eventually that spreads over the metro area. So by tonight, 10 o'clock, we'll be looking at light to moderate rainfall around. As we start the morning, notice how that heavy rain starts to show up, right? That's going to be with us at least through the 6, 7 o'clock hour. By 8 o'clock, things will start to shift a little bit more over toward the east. And then by 9 o'clock, where it stopped it here, we'll just have a few isolated showers left over. That's going to be during the heart of our morning drive. Now, if this system speeds up, that'll help us out. If it slows down, I think it'll be a little bit worse for us. And so that's the timing, at least right now, that we're looking at with that heavy rain that'll push in. Now, I'm step out of the way here. You can see where you have these oranges, the yellows in here. That's what's going to be over us, and even some of those little red dots as well, which means that we'll see anywhere from moderate to heavy rainfall. Again, not looking at much in the way of any lightning strikes or anything like that. Shouldn't be any severe weather around, but that will lead to ponding on the roads. We got the leaves that's covering up the drainage areas, so that's going to lead to some localized flooding as well. And so you're going to have to be very careful. You got to think about your drive, not so much as far as accidents go, but people will slow down because the rain will be so heavy. So that's going to lead to delays and backups. All right, so you might want to start early, get your plans together, which is why we're alerting this today, at least to let you know about tomorrow morning. Don't want it to be a surprise to you at all, but certainly that's going to lead to some flooding in some spots as well. As things begin to start to come down just a little bit, we'll be looking at the skies starting to clear out on us just a little bit there. And so again, I think we will get some sunshine in here before it sets. Sun typically setting around between 5:30 and 5:45, and so we'll get a little bit of that in here before it sets. Clearing out by the time we get to Wednesday, which is good. We'll get the sunshine back in here, but our temperatures won't change all that much. Keep in mind that we should be around 60 this time of year, or at least 59 degrees. We'll be below that for the rest of the week. Our 11Alive weather impact day tomorrow morning, and then by the afternoon, we'll start to clear it out. You're looking at 51 degrees for the high temperature by the time we get to Wednesday. Partly sunny skies is going to be the call. We'll do the same as we head into Thursday. Now, I do think late in the day, clouds will start to increase a little bit more on Thursday. We'll be at 53 degrees. And then look at this. By the time we get to Friday, we're down to 48. And we got some rain pushing into the forecast area as well. So that's going to be another cold rain for us. There is some hints that there could be a little bit of mixing that may take place in the North Georgia mountains. Of course, we'll keep you updated on that. But right now, we're just looking at a cold rain. 54 degrees will be the high temperature on Saturday, as that rain will be around during the morning on Saturday. And then by the afternoon, we'll clear it out. Full sunshine returns to the area. By the time we get to Sunday, we'll be looking at 56 degrees for the afternoon high temperature. So those temperatures will start to modify a bit as we get the sunshine back. But keep in mind, our 11Alive weather impact alert day tomorrow morning for your morning commute. Thanks for joining us, folks. Make sure you have a great day today.